What's going on, people? So Arsenal have recorded a 1-0 win over Manchester City in the Premier League, and it feels big. This one feels like a weight off the shoulders from the point of view of finally getting one over on Manchester City, who have beaten Arsenal in the last 10 Premier League meetings, I believe. So it was long overdue to beat the current treble winners, the 3-time Premier League champions in a row, and for us to win that game, people, in that manner, in such a controlled, mature, measured performance, I thought was sensational, and it really does bode well for Arsenal this season on our quest to go one better than last year and try and win the Premier League. So I'm absolutely buzzing, people. I'm absolutely delighted with what I saw. It was a very tactical, cagey match where it did feel a little bit like a boxing match where the two fighters had a lot of respect for each other. The fences were very tight. No one was really throwing many punches. It was more of a brinkmanship type situation where you're waiting for the other person to make a move, then you respond. And yeah, I was just so impressed with how Arsenal rolled with that, in a sense, rolled with the punches, if you continue the boxing analogy. And they didn't look to force anything. They were just happy to match Man City punch for punch and not look to break out of the rhythm of the match. And that was something I was so impressed with. They were very controlled and measured in how they approached the game with their decision making. The passing was often safe, sure. There was a lot of sideways passes, a lot of containing passes, but I felt as if that allowed Arsenal to establish a semblance of control, because in the first 20 to 30 minutes, it was somewhat nervy from an Arsenal point of view. Our goalkeeper, David Raya, was occasionally dithering too long with his kicking, sometimes misplacing the kicks. There was one moment where Julian Alvarez charged him down and intercepted him in the 6-yard box and nearly brought about a goal through a block. So that was a very close moment for Arsenal, and one we nearly didn't escape, but thankfully we did. And I actually thought, to give Raya some credit, he really grew into the match, and in the second half he was a lot more precise with his kicking, a lot more controlled and calm on the ball, and I thought that was a real plus point for Arsenal. But as I said, people, in that first 30 minutes I did feel like Arsenal were very aware of the opponent. We were very aware we were playing Man City, and perhaps there was an element of respect, an element of inferiority complex creeping in, where we thought, oh, these guys have beaten us so often, is this going to go down a similar road? And I did feel like there were some really important performances in that first half, just to give us a sense of solidity and establish our personality and our sense of almost belief that we could match Man City. And I did feel that William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes in the centre of defence were very strong. They didn't allow Erling Haaland any opportunities. They were very quick to intercept. They were comfortable receiving passes from each other, but also from the goalkeeper. And I felt that they were very assured, and that helped calm us down, and it spread, that sense of assuredness spread throughout the team. But for me, people, in that second half, I was so impressed with how Arsenal flicked it up a notch. They just went through the gears a tad and were able to, I feel, show that they were slightly better on the day in that second half. Declan Rice really grew into the game. He was intercepting really well. He was anticipating Manchester City's plays, breaking up their attacks. Thought Martin Odegaard started to receive the ball a little more and play more progressive passes. Gabriel Jesus was a real menace. I thought he was possibly man of the match, actually. His performance was just stunning. The way he pulled the defenders from side to side. His first touch was really positive, often taking it on the half turn, controlling it on his chest, looking to spin people, running the channels, making things happen. very impressed with Jesus because he was up against a really strong Manchester City defence. Manchester City have got some very, very good defenders. Ake, Kyle Walker, Gvardiol and Ruben Diaz in there today. And they were a formidable, seemingly impregnable back line. But Arsenal just kept chipping away. And I felt that triple substitution was ultimately key because when Kovacic went off for Man City and Arsenal brought on Thomas Partey along with Tomiyasu and Havertz, that meant Arsenal had their first choice midfield out on the pitch for the last 15 minutes. It was Partey, Rice and Odegaard. Now that is the three I would always want to see in Arsenal's midfield in those big matches. And Man City's midfield at that point, I believe, was Núñez, possibly John Stones stepping in from defence, and maybe Foden or Bernardo stepping in as the third midfielder. And I thought to myself, with 15 minutes to go, Arsenal can win this game based off of that alone. The fact that we have our strongest midfield three finishing this match with the home crowd behind us, Manchester City very much a makeshift or second string midfield trio, I felt like we could definitely push home the advantage, and so it proved. And what a wonderful goal, people, to finish it off. It was a fantastic, classic goal from Arsenal. The ball comes over the top. Tomiyasu heads it on to Havertz, a beautifully weighted and directed header. And Havertz's touch was so precise and so well cushioned. Martinelli comes onto it, aims his shot to the left of the goalkeeper, to the bottom right-hand corner, takes a deflection off Ake, a little bit of luck, feel like Arsenal weren't the luck, and ricocheted the ball into the net, celebrations, and Arsenal were able to see it out for a 1-0 win. So that goal coming roughly in the 87th minute. So very, very happy people with Arsenal's performance. Much needed just before the international break. I always feel like it's great to finish the cycle of Premier League matches with a win going into the international break. Just keeps morale up in the camp, keeps everyone happy as they go off to various parts of the world to compete for their nation. And it just gives you a little bit of a spring in your step where you feel, yeah, I really want to come back and can keep up the momentum on the other side of the international break. So that was really positive. It was also huge for me for Arteta to get a win over Guardiola, obviously his so-called apprentice. So Arteta having worked under Guardiola at Manchester City as his assistant coach. So for Arteta to beat Guardiola's Man City for the first time in the Premier League was a really important milestone for him to accomplish. So well done to Arteta. And yeah, just leaving Arsenal there on joint top of the table, just behind Tottenham, who currently lead the table. Same number of points as Arsenal, same goal difference, but Tottenham has obviously scored more goals. So it's a perfect position really for Arsenal to be in as we come off the international break. That first match back away to Chelsea, 5:30 on the Saturday. Can't wait for that one, people. I feel like Arsenal can go to Stamford Bridge with confidence, knowing that we don't have to be in gear 5 all the time. We can actually operate at a really strong cruising speed, gear 2, gear 3, be selective with when we choose to attack, keep a compact shape, but ultimately we don't need to be taking undue risks, as was proved today. We can beat the best teams without having to play a recklessly attacking brand of football. So really well done to Arsenal, people. Delighted with that win. Onwards and upwards from here, and let's keep the momentum going. All right, people. Peace. Love.